The only people who ask that kind of question is people who don't love books enough. Books are not a football match.
If I had to pick one of these 10 books, I would pick the thickest one.
First of all, I think it's completely inappropriate to ask anybody. If I knew that I was going to be shipwrecked, I would not take any of these 10 books. I would take maybe one book could disqualify in one of these 10 books, but I would probably take the Oxford English Dictionary.
I would be forced to certainly carry my copy of Anna Akhmatova. Out of the poets, that's whom I have engaged with in a very sustained, and to me it's my tribute also to that great dark place called Russian literature. And Anna Akhmatova, strong, redemptive, female, lonely, haunted by so much history. So that's one voice I would certainly carry, and her poetry really cuts a neural shortcut to the senses.
I think it would be hard to pick one, but given the work I do, I would be confused between schooling Islam and behind the veil. I do a lot of work which entails understanding Islam as a religion, as a way of life, how it impacts our politics and our culture and our tradition, and its interpretation, how it pans out. So I believe understanding what Islam in its traditional text has taught us and how the political Islam is being taught to us, and to understand that transition is important. So my judgment on which book is my favorite is based on which book can teach me the most and help me answer my questions the most. So I'll be torn between Behind the Veil and Schooling Islam.
Perhaps out of all of these is the book which is closest to my heart, because after all it's tremendously personal, is Nusra-e-Wafa by Faiz Ahmed Faiz. And the reasons are obvious. Being his child, so much of one's sensibility, one's fears, one's joys were tied up with the poetry that emanated from him. And also I was, for most of my life, witness to the circumstances out of which that poetry emanated. And therefore, I think that if I was to say one book, it would be that.
I would say the book that, because I have read it recently, that's the only reason and none other, is Peter Nada's Parallel Stories. He's an Hungarian author, and it is a book which took 18 years in writing, 2 years in translation. And the most amazing thing about the book is that when you read the book, there is no plot, and yet there is a plot. There are no characters, but yet there are characters. It's a book which seems to have been written and woven with dreams. So it is this peculiar atmosphere that you capture. So there is no something that you can tangibly touch in the novel. It is all there in the subtext, in the underlines, and in between the lines. So it's a beautiful tapestry.
A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. It is a book that has inspired me. It has taught me what perseverance means. It has given me a new meaning of what passive resistance means. And I've greatly admired the man and his vision, and it's really taught me what depths the human spirit can go to, and how even when someone is down and out and in a corner, there is always an inner strength that they have that they can channel to make them a better person.
I think I would definitely choose Pride and Prejudice, and there's a reason for that. It's a book that I've reread many times at different stages in my life, and I think most young women and older women have read it, because you can relate to Jane Austen's work in the context of our evolving society. And also in terms of the fact that a woman and how she's viewed and the decisions she makes and how she herself has to grow up and take charge of her own life. I think it's a fascinating book from that perspective too, because one can relate to it. So no questions on this. This would really be my top choice.
John Berger's Ways of Seeing is perhaps the most influential of the books written on art to date. It's from 1972. And I think this is one book that really, whether you're from the art world or not from the discipline of art, It's something that makes you realize that image is much beyond just being a photograph or a painting or a picture.